Here are other discussions in diplomatic circles.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel appears to have secured a temporary respite for her government with an early morning migration deal in Brussels that, while short in substance, looks to have mollified her restless Bavarian allies. The deal, reached by EU leaders, was intended to throw a lifeline to Merkel, whose government was brought to the brink of collapse by demands from Bavaria's Christian Social Union for a tougher immigration policy. Initial signs were that the arch-conservative CSU was grudgingly persuaded by a deal that even a bleary-eyed Merkel, emerging to talk to reporters, admitted was more a sketch than a detailed proposal. While neither of her two principal adversaries, CSU head and Interior Minister Horst Seehofer and Bavarian Premier Markus Söder, were prepared to concede immediately on Friday morning, other senior figures offered a cautious welcome. The Israeli army has beefed up its tank and artillery deployments on the Golan Heights frontier with Syria, cautioning Damascus forces to keep a distance as they sweep rebel-held areas over the border. Backed by Russia, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad launched an offensive last month to regain the southwestern Deraa region, driving thousands of refugees towards neighboring Jordan and Israel. Israel says it is neutral in the 7-year war, but has carried out scores of airstrikes in Syria on suspected Iranian targets, Lebanese Hezbollah guerrillas, or in response to what it said were attacks directed against its own forces in the Golan. Addressing the Israeli cabinet, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel had apprised Russia and the United States of its position on the developments in the Golan, alluding to a separation of forces agreement with Syria after the 1973 Middle East War that created a buffer zone patrolled by the UN Disengagement and Observer Force. Israel seized much of the Golan from Syria in the 1967 war and annexed the strategic plateau, a move not recognized abroad. Afghan President Mohammad Ashraf Ghani has announced an end to his government's unilateral ceasefire with the Taliban and ordered security forces to resume operations across the country. The president had announced on June 7th a week-long ceasefire with the Taliban. The government ceasefire, which lasted 18 days after it was extended once, overlapping with the Taliban's independent 3-day truce for the Muslim Eid al-Fitr festival, which marks the end of the Ramadan. 3 days of no fighting were unprecedented in the nearly 17-year conflict. At a press conference in Kabul, President Ghani said it is up to the Taliban to decide whether they want to join the peace process or continue fighting. The president said the ceasefire had broken years of deadlock between the government and the Taliban. Thailand is receiving international help as it continues search for 12 teenage footballers and their coach trapped in a famous cave north of the country. An Australian team of rescue experts arrived at the cave over the weekend and is helping other international teams present to help with the search. Rescue teams have also been scouring thick jungle on the mountainside for alternative routes into the cave. With the boys' way out blocked by floodwaters from the heavy rains, rescuers are hoping that they made it through to an elevated rock mound in one of the underground chambers far under the mountain. Cavers have nicknamed the potential safety spot Pattaya Beach after one of Thailand's best tourist destinations. There's still been no contact with the boys.
And that's the program this week. I'm glad you could join us. Let's talk some more next time on Diplomatic Channel. I am Amarachi Ubani. Goodbye.